Right, so I'm over in Brighton today, and this project started around 4 weeks ago. So this is a rear elevation single-storey extension to the property. This is a 3-storey mid-terrace house, which is quite a common construction in this area. The concept behind this build is to create more of an open plan feel to the house, as it's a family home and they want it to feel more friendly and open for when they got guests around and when they got the kids, etc. The new part of the house is quite similar to the construction that was already there. There was a side extension which came down the side and then returned down the back. This was where the kitchen used to be and a utility room along with a WC. It was quite small and quite cramped. They had a little courtyard space, and then there was a terrace above, which I'll be able to show you in some pictures of what it used to look like before we started to break away. So in removing this courtyard space, we then enabled us to create more of an open plan kitchen, utilising that extra space and breaking away the existing external part of the house, completely transforming the inside. Let's take you on in and we can show you what's going on. We've got the electricians in a minute running their first fix electrics throughout the downstairs of the property. They've been here already one day, so hopefully they're going to get it all done today. So downstairs, this is where the existing part of the house is. There was a wall which continued along here, ran along this way and then down to the back. This is where I said the kitchen originally was. So the kitchen ran along this side, went down there towards the utility room, and then there was a toilet which was over in the corner. This is the section where the little courtyard used to be, which is quite an empty space as they already had an open terrace upstairs where they spent most of their times with their children when the weather was all right for them to be out there. So in enabling us to break through, we've installed an RSJ just above us here. This is supported on the existing pier over in this corner, and then we've also installed a post over there with a rather large pad over here too. So in terms of the layout is going to remain the same towards the front of the property. We've got a living room towards the front where the window is, and we've got a dining room section here. However, there's drastic change in the sense that it's going to be more of an open plan space. We've got a larger kitchen area here. We're going to have an island which comes along here with a hanging pendant just above that. We've got some base units coming along this side where we're going to have a sink, and then we've also got the cooker and a lot of other units running down there. Utilising the existing fridge freezer, which is going to go in the corner there too, with a tool unit next to that and another one there, and then we've got like a worktop section running along there too. Originally the client wanted to keep this flint wall in the construction of the build as it would create a great feature in the kitchen. However, with building control and regulations being the way they are, they of course prevented this from happening. So now we have to construct something called a sacrificial wall, as this is a party wall, so we have to have insulation to prevent any sound from travelling through, whereas this side isn't the same because they just have a courtyard space along that side. In terms of the construction of this build, the external walls were already in place. However, we just had to install 2x2 timbers vertically up the wall so that we could then install 40mm insulation. The roof is your typical flat roof construction. So we've got a steel which runs along this side, as this is just a single skin wall, so we wouldn't be able to just support the roof off of that. This picks up our joist on that side, and on this side we've bolted a plate along the wall with M14 bolts and can fix that into the wall as well, so that is not going to be going anywhere. We have a stub partition running along here. We've got some grounds here, which the guys started putting in the grounds for, so we've got a boiler going here, so there's ply there for it to fix on, pipework's all in place. The washing machine is going to be moving over into this corner, allowing more space along here, and the client is also going to have another sink for any washing up, etc. And then we've got the toilet over in the corner, which we're also going to be having a pocket door to save that extra space. Got an opening here for a window that the client wants to keep, which was originally in the build before. I think this is because they want to be keeping an eye on their kids when they're out in the main part of the house, and it also allows that transmission of natural light, which we are gaining from the 2 roof lights above us, which I'll show you once we're upstairs. This part of this section is going to be stepped up to the other floor in the house, as it was already there and the client didn't want to go the extra mile and spending more money and breaking this down and then doing a traditional oversight and starting from the beginning. Adding that step also helps create a different zone to the house as well, so I quite like having that too. So this section is just going to have a layer of latex on along with this too, and then we're going to have your typical traditional screed throughout that section here. We've got a tool rad going here just because there's not that much space for radiators, so we're just going to put one on this section here, nice tall one. And we've got one in the WC, and then we've also got one that's going to be positioned at the end of the island, which I'll be able to show you a 3D model for, giving you a better idea of the shape that it's going to look like. So as well as building control requesting us to construct a sacrificial wall over there, as it's a party wall, they have also instructed us on constructing a stub wall along here and installing the FD30 fire door. Now this is due to fire regulations, so that if there is a fire in this downstairs area, it will stay within this zone for a bit longer, allowing people to exit out down the staircase and out the front door. And this is vice versa for if the fire was up there, it would work the same way too. So let's take you upstairs and show you the roof construction. So I'm now upstairs on the flat roof that we built. So originally there was a terrace up here. Imagine this being your courtyard down there, rail coming along this side and returning down here. And this is where the open terrace originally was. We completely removed the existing part of the house, starting from the ground. We then constructed this flat roof construction. So originally when we were designing the flat roof, we were going to allow the water to fall from one end to the other. However, that would create quite a big upstand because you'd end up having to have bigger furrings at one end to allow that water to flow down, meaning that this door would have to reduce even more and come up to probably around here. So what we decided to do in the end was to split that and incorporate a valley down the middle, meaning that we'd have half the size of the furring on this side and half the size of the furring on that side, so that water can transition down into the middle and then drop into a gully over here, and then that water is going to drop down there and run in to the stack pipe, which I'll overlay and be able to show you in a second as well. So like any other flat roof construction, you have to provide something called cross-flow ventilation. Now this is to stop any condensation from producing when the cold air is meeting the warm air. When you have something called a warm roof, the insulation sits on top of the roof, so you don't have to have cross-flow ventilation. But where we've got a cold roof, we have insulation in between our trimmers, like in between these, and then we have a gap. So we've got our cross-flow ventilation going across, and then we have our furrings going over that too. This allows the air to move around freely. So on other flat roofs, where you tend to have a fascia and you've got a gutter because they're not abutting to any other walls, you can have either a soffit vent, which sits underneath the fascia, or you can have a fascia vent, which sits along the top, and this allows that air to travel through. Because we haven't got either of them, and it abuts against the wall either side, decided to go for something called an abutment vent. Now this is something that you construct yourself. First, we stop the ply 25mm off of the wall. Then we have battens running vertically along, and then we plant some OSB-free board on top. After that, we then install a fascia vent, which is over here. I'll show you. So this fascia vent sits along the ply, and I've got some photos for that too, so I can show you. So this sits along the top of the ply. We then have something called an arris rail, which is this here. This plants on the wall like that, and then we cut in along here and install our code 4 lead, and this laps over the top. So you've got that air underneath traveling throughout the flat roof and coming out here, which actually ended up looking quite good, as I was a bit concerned as this existing part of the wall bellies out quite a bit, so I had to take a bit of time to get it perfect, but I'm really happy with the result. So along this side where the valley is as well, we're going to be installing a vent. The vent will continue down here, air traveling through, a fiberglass trim will come over, and then the water can just come straight over that and go down into that gully which I described. Because there's no natural light coming towards the rear of the property now that we've constructed this flat roof, we wanted to encourage as much as possible, so we've installed we've set out the roof for 2 individual skylights. So we got a 800mm by 1.2mm long skylight, and then we have 800 by 500 skylight there too, encouraging that natural light down. With most skylights you have to have quite a bit of an upstand, normally around 150mm. Because the client is having a different finish on this roof, we needed to finish the roof light flush as possible, so we've got a minimal upstand. Most roof lights have to have more of an upstand, typically around 100 to 150mm. However, in this instance, we spoke to a supplier and they provided us with a roof light where you need a minimal upstand, which is great for us because the client wants us to install a patio throughout. Now, this is going to be achieved with some adjustable plastic pedestals, which literally sit on top of the fiberglass roof. They bring it off the roof around 50mm, allowing us to level it throughout, so it'll be completely level. We won't have any grout between the slabs. Instead, the water will be travelling through down onto this fiberglass flat roof and then going into the gully, and you wouldn't even know it's there. So it'll work perfectly and create that lovely zone in the summer for the client to be coming out here with the kids and having a barbecue, etc. So yeah, it will look fantastic at the end. So the next stage on this build is going to be the fiberglass that's coming in, and they're going to lay their first layer of fiberglass throughout. So it's quite a good system, which I'll be able to document as well. First of all, they'll lay their first layer of fiberglass. This will seal all the joins and weather tight the roof, and then they'll install some fiberglass matting, and they'll do another layer as well, and then they'll paint it too. The electricians, like I say, are going to be done today hopefully, and then we've got the plumbers have got one more day here, and I believe their first fix is done too, and then we can start insulating the ceilings throughout and begin to start closing it up I've also got building control coming here today too to sign off the construction, which I'm sure they'll be happy with, and then we can really start to push this job on. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is a bit different to some of the other builds that we do, as the houses are constructed a little bit differently in Brighton, albeit with most of them being a terrace house. They're normally constructed out of flint, especially down this road. It was made up of flint and many other materials which we later discovered when breaking away. Just had to be careful and take our time with doing it. But it's amazing to see how much space you can create with just such a small extension, and just going back and forth with our architects and designing it with yourselves, we can come up with a perfect space for you at home. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also drop us a comment or reach out to us via direct message, or drop us an email at info@abmbuilding.co.uk, and one of the team will get back to you straight away. Thank you.